California, rapper A$AP Rocky declines a plea deal on the eve of the start of his trial. The rapper, whose real name is Rakim Mayers, is charged with 2 felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm. The deal would have sent him to jail for 180 days, but he now faces up to 24 years in prison if he's convicted by a jury.
In and of itself does not mean that your client is guilty. That's the way we're going to deal with this, and that's the final ruling. I don't want to hear anything more about it. That's the end of the issue for now. Are both sides ready for the jury to come in?
Oh my God. You won't believe the absolute chaos unfolding in A$AP Rocky's trial right now. The tea is piping hot, honey, and poor Rihanna is going through it. Word on the street is that our girl Riri is absolutely devastated, knowing her man, the father of her precious babies and unofficial hubby, could potentially miss their children's birthdays for the next 2 decades. Can you even imagine? The trial has officially kicked off, and darlings, it's already a complete circus. From the judge making eyes at Rocky's mom, I mean, seriously? To witnesses dropping jaw-dropping bombshells in court. And don't even get me started on Rocky's legal team pulling these absolutely genius moves that have left the prosecution totally shook. But here's where it gets even juicier. The prosecution tried to throw Rocky a lifeline with this plea deal. They were basically saying, just plead guilty to 1 teeny tiny felony assault charge, take some anger management classes, do a bit of community service, and we're good. But Rocky, he looked at that deal and said, nah, I'm good. And honey, the internet is losing its collective mind. Some people are clutching their pearls, calling Rocky a complete fool for turning down what they're calling a sweetheart deal. Others are standing firmly in his corner saying the deal makes 0 sense because their boy didn't even do what he's being accused of. And then there's this whole other camp bringing up the Tory Lanez drama, saying if Tory got slapped with 10 years, Rocky better be worried. But is our boy really in that much trouble? And what's our queen Rihanna doing in all this mess? Let's spill all this scalding hot tea. For those who haven't been keeping up with all this drama, where have you been, sweetie? A$AP Rocky is facing some serious allegations. We're talking about him supposedly pulling out a weapon on A$AP Relly, who, by the way, is supposed to be part of Rocky's own crew. The betrayal.
How you doing this morning? How you feeling about the first day?
Thank you. Topic going into the case. Give us the room. Wait, am I taking a stand at all?
Now, you'd think this would be a simple open and shut case, right? Either Rocky did it or he didn't. But honey, this tea is more complicated than your ex's relationship status. Let me tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. This whole mess started because of money and loyalty, isn't it always? See, before Rocky became the fashion-forward Rihanna dating superstar we know and love today, he was part of this group called the A$AP Mob. Think of it as this super cool Harlem collective of rappers, producers, creative directors, and fashion designers who all shared the A$AP name like a designer label. The drama really kicked off when one of their crew members passed away in 2021. Now, since Rocky's obviously the one with the biggest bank account and the most famous face in the group, everyone expected him to step up and handle those funeral costs like a boss. But according to A$AP Relly, Rocky totally ghosted when it came time to pay up. Let me paint this picture for you. Relly, feeling betrayed and angry, confronts Rocky right near the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The drama of it all. Things get heated faster than a summer sidewalk, and there's actual CCTV footage showing these former friends getting physical. Someone tries to play peacemaker, but then, and this is where it gets wild, Rocky allegedly pulls out a weapon. Though the footage shows him tucking it back away, this story is far from over, darlings. Now, according to Relly's version of events, and trust me, this gets even messier, the drama didn't end there. He claims Rocky whipped out that weapon again and actually fired at him. Relly says one of the bullets grazed his knuckles. But here's where things start getting shadier than a palm tree in Los Angeles. Get this. Relly didn't run to the police or the hospital right away. No, honey, he waited days before reporting the incident. I mean, if someone actually shot at you, wouldn't you be dialing 911 faster than you can say Instagram story? Rocky's legal team is all over this detail like designer clothes at a sample sale, using it to suggest that maybe, just maybe, things didn't go down quite the way Relly's claiming. And let's talk about this footage that supposedly captures everything. It's grainier than your great aunt's vintage photos. You can barely make out what's happening, which honestly just adds another layer of mystery to this whole situation. So basically, darling, this entire case is riding on witness testimonies. And let me tell you, ASAP Relly, the prosecution's star witness, is giving a performance that's not exactly winning any Oscar nominations. Rocky's fans online are having an absolute field day, calling Relly everything but a child of God. They're convinced he's just a jealous friend trying to get his 15 minutes of fame. And can we talk about how Relly handled this situation? Instead of keeping it in the ASAP family and working it out behind closed doors, he went straight to the police. The internet is absolutely dragging him, calling him a snitch faster than you can double tap an Instagram post. Rocky's lawyer, Joe Tacopina, came out swinging with this absolutely scorching opening statement saying, "This case is about one man's jealousy which lies in green. This case is all about money, a clear attempt at extortion, period, end of story." But honey, that's not even in the top 5 messiest things happening in this courtroom drama. Let's talk about this jury situation, because it's giving very much something's not right here. They've got 7 women and 5 men on the jury, but not a single one of them is black. Not one. In Los Angeles, of all places. People online are losing their minds, and rightfully so. Both Rocky and Relly are black men. This is happening in LA, and they couldn't find one black person for this jury. Make it make sense. Even Reverend Al Sharpton had to step in and say something about this mess. He came through with this powerful statement about how Rocky deserves to be judged by his peers, calling it absolutely ridiculous that the jury isn't representative. I mean, when he pointed out that LA has a significant black population, but somehow 0 black people made it into the first 30 jury candidates. Chilly, something's not adding up. But wait. The plot thickens like last season's drama. Let's talk about this police investigation because it's messier than a toddler with finger paint. When Relly finally decided to report the incident, the police went to investigate the scene. Now, these are trained professionals who know exactly what they're looking for. And guess what? They found absolutely nothing. No shell casings, no evidence that anyone fired anything. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. Relly, after the police had already swept the entire area, supposedly goes back to the scene and, magically, finds shell casings that he brings to the police as evidence. I mean, seriously? The professional investigators couldn't find anything, but Relly just happens to stumble upon this crucial evidence? It's giving very much convenient timing, if you know what I mean. Now, let's dive into this rejected plea deal because this is where things get really interesting. Rocky is facing 2 counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm, and if things go south, we're talking about potentially 24 years behind bars. The prosecution came through with what some people are calling a golden ticket of a plea deal. Plead guilty to 1 felony count, get a 6-month jail term, suspended, 7 years of suspended sentence, 3 years probation, 500 hours of community service, and some anger management classes.
Hey, so, you a little nervous about the trial? How you feeling about the jury selection today?
Our cameras caught ASAP Rocky this morning headed into and leaving an LA court as jury selection began in his felony trial. The 36-year-old, who faces 24 years in prison if convicted, has pleaded not guilty, and today he rejected a plea deal offer of 180 days in jail, saying, quote, "I respectfully decline."
You concerned about rejecting the plea deal?
The internet is absolutely divided over Rocky turning this deal down. Some people are screaming at their phones like, "Take the deal, boy. What are you thinking?" I mean, compared to 24 years in prison, it sounds like a walk in the park, right? Plus, he wouldn't even have to spend actual time behind bars as long as he stays out of trouble. But here's the tea. Some insiders are saying Rocky made the right choice turning down that deal. First of all, if you're innocent, as Rocky claims, why would you plead guilty to anything? But more importantly, this deal could have been career suicide. According to a source who spilled to TMZ, this plea would have basically ended Rocky's entire empire. We're talking about losing all those juicy endorsement deals. Gucci, Puma, the Met Gala invites, and you know how much our fashion-forward king loves those. Plus, touring would be completely off the table. And let's be real, that's where the real money is. The source added that this deal would have kept Rocky under their thumb for over 8 years. And don't forget, pleading guilty to a felony isn't like getting a parking ticket. That stays on your record forever. So while 24 years sounds scary, if there's even a chance Rocky could walk away from this with a clean record, you can kind of see why he's willing to roll those dice. And from what we're seeing in court so far, Rocky might have made the right bet. But honey, buckle up, because this is where the story takes the wildest turn yet. Rocky's defense team just dropped a bombshell that has everyone's jaws on the floor. They're claiming there wasn't even a real firearm involved. According to Rocky's lawyer, Joe Tacopina, what Rocky actually fired was a starter gun he had bought to scare off potential threats after dealing with a stalker and a previous attack. Apparently, he fired it twice, just hoping the sound would be enough to scare Relly away and protect their friend Ills, who was there during the altercation. But the prosecutors aren't buying this story for a second. They're insisting Rocky fired a 9mm semi-automatic pistol, and they brought receipts, playing a 911 call from a woman who claims she witnessed the whole thing. They even showed photos of what they believe Rocky fired. Here's where it gets interesting though. When the police raided Rocky's house after his arrest, yes, they found some firearms, but plot twist, they were all properly registered. And that 9mm semi they're talking about, nowhere to be found in Rocky's possession. So naturally, everyone's wondering where this mysterious weapon came from. The prosecution thinks they have the answer, and they shocked everyone in court by pulling out a ballistics report they claim proves Rocky fired a gun at Relly. Rocky's legal team was completely blindsided by this information. They had no idea this evidence existed. They immediately started arguing that the case couldn't possibly continue without them having time to review this new bombshell evidence. But the judge? Oh honey, the judge wasn't having any of it. In a move that had everyone clutching their pearls, the judge gave Rocky's team just 1 day to get an expert to review the ballistics report. Sure, the court will pay for it, but 1 day? It's like trying to plan a wedding in 24 hours. Now, some people are looking at this situation sideways, wondering if maybe Rocky should have taken that plea deal after all. They're drawing parallels to the Tory Lanez case, and honestly, the similarities are making everyone nervous. Remember how Tory ended up with 10 years after being convicted of 3 felonies: assault with a semi-automatic firearm, having a loaded unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and discharging a firearm with gross negligence? But let's be real. These cases are different as night and day. Tory shot a famous woman, while Rocky allegedly shot at a less-known member of his crew. The evidence against Tory was rock solid, and that messy smear campaign against Megan definitely didn't help his case. Meanwhile, the evidence against Rocky is shakier than a house of cards in a hurricane, plus he's got this whole fashion-forward, married to a billionaire superstar image going for him.
The judge thinks your mom is gorgeous.
She is. Hey, Rocky, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you.
Speaking of Rihanna, sources are saying our girl is really struggling with all this drama. Remember back in 2022 when she was heavily pregnant and they got ambushed at the airport over this case? They were just trying to return from their Barbados vacation when LA police stopped them and arrested Rocky. The whole thing was absolutely traumatic for Rihanna. Sources say she was having anxiety attacks and worried the stress might trigger early labor. Thank goodness nothing happened to the baby, but can you imagine trying to handle this trial while juggling work and taking care of kids? The pressure must be unreal. And now with cameras allowed in the courtroom, every single moment of this messy situation is going to be broadcast for the world to see. The judge might be trying to play it cool, saying Rocky won't get special treatment for being a celebrity, but then there he was, openly flirting with Rocky's mom in court. On the record, the drama just never ends with this case. So there you have it, the complete, messy, dramatic story of Rocky's trial. Between the mysterious evidence, the rejected plea deal, the all-white jury, and poor Rihanna caught in the middle of it all, this case has more twists than a pretzel factory. We'll just have to wait and see how this all plays out in court.